This is step number 1 for how to draw the nose. The nose is going to be right here, and what it is the most complicated facial feature to draw. It's the one that most people mess up most often, but we're going to break it down really simple for you and start with some basic shapes. The first being a nice circle. Now I'm going to draw these very lightly because at the end these are going to be gone. You're not going to see the circle. You're going to just have a shape with shadow around it. So you don't want to draw these things really dark. Nice and soft is all you need. On both sides you're going to need nostrils. And the nostril overlaps. So don't draw it out here. Be sure that it overlaps. And again, I'm drawing it nice and lightly because we're not going to have a whole lot of lines in the nose. It's going to be mostly shadow. And that is going to be the basic setup for the nose. This is going to be the tip of your nose, and it's going to go up a little bit. So I like to put a teeny dot there. You may be able to see it. And then I have like an imaginary line I'm going to represent with these other small dots up to a little dip. So from the tip to the dip, and that dip is the part of your nose that actually dips in. If you could put your finger on your face and feel the top of your nose, right in between your eyes, you'll find that little dip, and we're just going to leave that up there to represent it. Very easy. Also, what we're going to do here for step number 1 is add these small nostril shapes, and that goes from right about there to where the nostril and the nose meet, and it's really just like a little line that dips down like that. This one goes obviously the other direction, and that's it. It just goes dip, dip, and that's step number 1 for drawing the nose. Alright, step number 2 for drawing the nose is pretty easy, and what it is if you ever called somebody a loser with your finger, you need to know this shape for this, and it's a soft shape with a little thing at the bottom. We're not drawing a 90-degree angle, so if you can think of that finger shape there, it kind of comes down from here, and right about there we're going to start to draw the edge of the nostril and bring it down just like I said before. Like you can see, it looks like my little loser shape here. Goes down and over. Please don't call people losers, but use that shape to draw an awesome nostril. So as you can see, it comes down and bends, and you'll have the same one on the opposite side going the other direction. And it just comes down and dips in. And that is pretty easy to do, but also a lot of people mess up and they make it go like this, and that's not so good. So you want to have it just kind of softly come down, and follow the shape of the circle that you have there. Please come down, follow the shape of the circle, and just kind of end about halfway over. Very easy. Also, what you're going to have here in this step is the part where you can put your finger. Like if you want to dig in your nose and get something out, it's the little nostril hole, and you can shade that in if you'd like here. Some people do it now, some people do it on the next step, but I might as well fill it in. And you want to get these nice little shapes. You notice they're not circles. A lot of people make the mistake of scribbling like a circle. It's kind of like this. It's like a little slopey line with like a fat end, okay? So do it like that. Now we have to set up where the shadow is going to be. So if you look at this line here, it's going to be the exact same, just a little bit higher, and it just follows that shape, and that's going to be the bottom of the nose. So from here down is going to be the bottom, and from here up is going to be the top, because the nose comes out like that. So you're going to have the bottom and the top, and then from the tip to the dip, and it looks pretty cool. And that is very easy. And if you'd like, you can give it a little bit of soft shadow in this step here. Very soft. And just to kind of make it so you can find it. So that's going to be the bottom of the nose. This is going to be the top of the nose, and you can see the sides where the nostril goes into the face. And it's pretty simple. Step number 3 for drawing the nose is adding the shadows. Now this is going to be kind of fun and also kind of difficult because there's not really lines that I can show you. Say, okay, draw a line here and it will be a nose. It's all about who you're drawing and where their shadows lie. I can just show you some general shadows and where they tend to exist on a generic nose. But The reason we do these steps this way is because it's easy to customize. If someone has a pointy nose, you can shadow it real hard here and make the tip come out. If they have a round bulbous nose, you shadow it kind of flat and end up looking kind of like Scottie Pippen. But anyway, what you want to do is just follow your lines and keep everything kind of together here. So what I'm going to do is start lightly down the side, and when I get to here, you notice I get a little skinnier, and then I follow down the main circle. So you can see it wraps right around that main circle there and sort of makes almost a J shape. And then you take your finger and you can just give it like a little soft rubby rub and go right in the circle. I'm going to shadow right in that circle like that. Back up that way, right around like this. Just kind of give it that little smoky texture. Also coming down this side, sometimes you have a little shadow. Going right around this way as well. And if you like to have the soft shadow as opposed to the scratchy lines, feel free to blend it. At this point, I always like to darken the bottom part of the nose that we found earlier, and then I really push it dark where this big circle comes down. And again, I'm using the original circle from step 1 as a guide to where I'm adding the shadow or the lines. So those lines that you say, oh, we're not going to see them, why do I care how careful I draw them, are going to be important because they help you build where the shadow goes. And now you notice I'm also pushing that a little darker here. And there we go. I'm starting to get that nose to look real nosy. I'm going to darken the shadow around the base here. And if you want to give it a little soft blend, you can. You can kind of blend it right up like that. And you can start to have that nose shape. Some people have the dark shadow that goes right here, and sometimes you can see older people and it looks like you can almost put a quarter or a nickel in there and it will stick. That's because the older you get, usually the deeper this area is right next to the nose, between the nose and the cheek. So if you have an older subject, you might want to darken this up. I'll just give it like a nice light soft one. If you have a younger person that you're drawing, it probably won't be so dark, but you still want to add a little one, probably mostly shadow and not really much line. But it's also kind of dark on older people, so I'm going to stick it in there. Give a little rubby rub if you like. And then what you could do is you could start to define that shadow, and it looks kind of cool. And then next thing you know, you start to have a nose that's slowly coming forward. Now, whether you want to add more shadow or not always depends on your subject, whoever you're drawing. Sometimes the people have, it's very dark down here, you want to add it nice and dark. Some people have like a big pimple or something, that's fine too, you can draw that in. Sometimes I like to take the eraser and just put a little highlight on the tip of my nostrils to kind of help bring the tip back up to life here. And also on the tip of my nose, I give it a little bit of a shine, and right up there like this. Now the only problem is, and the one thing to consider is, you don't want it to look very direct. So you want to kind of give that shadow, or that shine I should say, a little bit of looseness to it. Don't make it so direct. And then what you have is a nice nose that starts to pop forward in 3D for you, and then just change the shadow as it fits your subject. So if your shadow has a really deep crevice here, shadow that in really dark. Same thing over here. If it's super shiny, be sure that there's no pencil lines there and it's all shine. If they have a nice soft nose, you give it that little rubby rub that you like, and boom, there you go. And there you go. You should have start to make it appear like it's popping off the page. And there you are. Step number 3 complete, and you should have something that looks like a completed nose.